Fired over a cup of coffee? Or was it something more? After 7 years at Silver Creek Diner, Sophie Landon never expected one act of kindness to cost her everything. When she helped a black entrepreneur, her manager's chilling words hit hard. "You don't belong here." Was it really about the coffee? Or was there a darker truth behind her firing? Watch till the end to uncover the shocking truth. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more eye-opening stories. The Silver Creek Diner sat at the edge of downtown Austin, Texas, its neon sign flickering in the night. Inside, the late shift was winding down. Only a few customers remained, an elderly man sipping his coffee, a college student hunched over a laptop, and a trucker flipping through a newspaper. Behind the counter, Sophie Landon, 28 years old, moved effortlessly through the space. After 7 years working here, she knew every booth, every regular, and the exact moment to refill a cup before it ran empty. The diner wasn't just a job, it was a part of her life. The door chime rang, and Sophie instinctively glanced up. A man entered, his posture stiff, eyes scanning the room as if searching for something. He looked to be in his early 30s, dressed in a slightly wrinkled button-down shirt, a laptop bag slung over one shoulder. He hesitated, then chose a booth in the dimmest corner, setting his bag down with a weary sigh. Sophie observed him for a moment. There was something about the way he carried himself, exhausted, tense, but determined. Grabbing a menu, she walked over. "Long night?" she asked, offering a warm smile. The man glanced up, startled, before exhaling a small chuckle. "You could say that." Sophie set the menu down, glancing at the overhead light flickering above his booth. "If you're planning to work, you picked the worst spot. That light's dying, and that table wobbles like it's seen better days." He blinked at her, caught off guard. She motioned toward a quieter, brighter table by the window. "That one's better." After a moment's hesitation, he nodded. "Thanks." As he moved, Sophie disappeared behind the counter, returning with a fresh cup of coffee, setting it down before he could protest. "On the house," she said. "You look like you need it." The man lifted an eyebrow, then let out a soft chuckle. "You have no idea." He took a sip, closing his eyes briefly. "Sophie," she introduced herself. "Malik," he responded, setting down his cup. Her eyes flicked to his laptop. "Big project," Malik exhaled. "Huge, a pitch tomorrow." "Been working on it for months." Sophie thought for a second, then snapped her fingers. "You should look up Lucas Davenport. He's a local investor, comes in here all the time." Malik's eyebrows lifted. "You're serious?" "Wouldn't say it if I wasn't." He scribbled the name down, his shoulders relaxing slightly. Sophie had no idea that this small act of kindness would set off a chain reaction that neither of them could have imagined. The hum of the diner continued as Sophie Landon moved through her usual routine, topping off coffee cups and wiping down counters. The interaction with Malik Carter had been brief but pleasant, and she thought nothing of it as she continued her shift. Across the diner, however, Henry Calloway, the manager, had been watching. His sharp, critical gaze followed Sophie as she handed Malik the free cup of coffee, engaged in a few words, and then stepped away. His jaw tightened. From his place near the register, Henry had run Silver Creek Diner with an iron grip for years. He prided himself on maintaining what he considered professionalism, which, in his mind, meant sticking to an unspoken set of rules about how things should be run and who should be welcomed. Now, standing behind the counter, he made a note of everything he didn't like about what he'd just witnessed. Sophie's casual friendliness, the way she had gone out of her way to make that particular customer comfortable, the free coffee. After 20 minutes, when she passed by the counter, Henry's voice cut through the quiet. "Sophie, office. Now." Sophie blinked, surprised by the sharpness in his tone. She hadn't done anything wrong, yet she could tell by the look on his face that this wasn't a simple chat. She followed him into the small, cluttered office at the back of the diner. The door shut behind her with a quiet but deliberate click. Henry leaned against the desk, arms crossed, his face unreadable. "You're done here." Sophie furrowed her brows. "What?" "I'm letting you go." His voice was flat, matter of fact. Sophie let out a confused laugh, certain she had misheard. "For what?" Henry's gaze was unwavering. "Unprofessional behavior with a customer, giving away free items without permission, making the restaurant look bad." She stared at him, dumbfounded. "Because I gave someone coffee." Henry's expression didn't change. "It's not your job to decide who gets free things." The realization hit her all at once. This wasn't about the coffee. This wasn't about breaking some unwritten rule about handouts. It was about who she had helped. Her stomach twisted. "You can't be serious," she said, her voice lower now, laced with disbelief. Henry exhaled through his nose, pushing himself off the desk. "You don't belong here anymore, Sophie." A sharp, undeniable finality in his voice made her breath hitch. For a moment, she stood still. 7 years. 7 years of showing up on time, working double shifts, memorizing regular customers' orders, and covering for sick coworkers. All gone. She clenched her fists, trying to steady herself, then slowly reached behind her waist and untied her apron. Wordlessly, she set it down on the desk between them. Her hands trembled slightly as she turned, walking out of the office and through the diner one last time. She didn't look at anyone. Not at the customers, not at the other employees, and certainly not at Henry. The cold air outside stung her face as she stepped into the night, her heart pounding with anger, disbelief, and something else, determination. This wasn't over. The night air felt sharper than usual as Sophie Landon sat in the driver's seat of her car, gripping the steering wheel. The neon glow from the Silver Creek Diner's sign flickered in her rearview mirror, a stark reminder that just an hour ago, this place had still been her workplace. Her phone buzzed against the passenger seat. She ignored it at first, staring out into the empty parking lot, her mind racing. Had she really just lost 7 years of work over a cup of coffee? No, she reminded herself, it wasn't about the coffee. It was about who she had helped. The buzzing continued. With a sigh, she picked up her phone and glanced at the screen. A string of notifications from her co-workers filled the screen. "Henry is telling everyone you quit on your own. He's saying you acted inappropriately with a customer. Are you okay?" Sophie's stomach tightened. Inappropriate. That was how they were spinning this. Henry wasn't just firing her, he was smearing her name. A new wave of anger burned through her. She had done nothing wrong. But what could she do? She had no proof, no way to fight back. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the diner's door swinging open. She looked up just in time to see Malik Carter step out, still holding the coffee cup she had given him earlier. His eyes scanned the parking lot until they landed on her. He hesitated for a moment before walking toward her car. Sophie rolled down the window. "Hey." "I just heard what happened," Malik said, his brows furrowed. Sophie let out a sharp breath, shaking her head. "They fired me." Malik's eyes widened. "For what?" She let out a bitter laugh. "Apparently for being inappropriate with a customer." Malik's face darkened. "You're kidding." "Nope." For a moment he just stood there, processing. Then his grip on the coffee cup tightened. "This was because of me, wasn't it?" Sophie shook her head. "No, this was because of them." Malik exhaled through his nose, clearly frustrated. "This is wrong." She let out a dry chuckle. "Yeah, no kidding." There was a long pause before Malik pulled out his phone. "I'm not letting this slide." Sophie frowned. "What are you doing?" He glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "I've got a decent following online. People need to know about this." Sophie hesitated. She wasn't the type to stir up drama, but Henry had already started twisting the truth. If she stayed silent, people would believe his version of the story. She watched as Malik started typing, his fingers moving quickly across the screen. Within minutes, he had posted, "A hard-working waitress at Silver Creek Diner was fired tonight for nothing more than helping me. 7 years on the job, gone. If this bothers you, let people know. We can't let things like this keep happening. Justice for Sophie." Sophie stared at the post as the likes and comments started rolling in almost instantly. By the time Sophie got home and collapsed onto her couch, her phone was buzzing non-stop. She picked it up and her breath caught in her throat. Malik's post had already gained thousands of shares. The comment section was blowing up with outrage. "Firing someone for being kind? That's disgusting. Silver Creek Diner just lost a customer. I hope that manager gets fired instead. Who's running this place?" Sophie scrolled through, overwhelmed. She had never expected this. A notification popped up. Malik had tagged her in a follow-up post. She clicked on it. "This isn't just about one waitress. It's about the kind of world we want to live in. Kindness shouldn't get you fired." Justice for Sophie, she swallowed hard. It was bigger than her now. More notifications flooded in. A text from an old friend, a missed call from a former co-worker, and then a voicemail from a news station. Her heart pounded. This was getting big, and the real storm hadn't even started yet. Sophie barely slept that night. Her phone wouldn't stop buzzing, notifications coming in faster than she could process. Every time she closed her eyes, another thought crept in. Had she made a mistake letting Malik post about this? She wasn't the type to seek out attention, let alone stir up a viral controversy. But deep down, she knew this wasn't just about her. It was about what was right. By the time morning arrived, the hashtag Justice for Sophie had exploded, trending across multiple platforms. News outlets had started covering the story, and Silver Creek Diner's Google and Yelp reviews tanked overnight. She scrolled through the endless stream of comments, her heart pounding. Discrimination at Silver Creek Diner. A waitress fired for simple kindness. What's the real reason behind this? This is deeper than one bad manager. What else is going on at that place? And then, a new notification popped up in her inbox. The message came from an unknown number. "Unknown, you're not the first one this happened to." Sophie's stomach tightened. She hesitated, then replied, "Sophie, who is this?" A few seconds later, another message appeared. "Unknown, name's Daniel Whitmore, used to be a cook at Silver Creek, fired 2 years ago, same reason." Sophie's fingers hovered over the screen. "Sophie, what do you mean, same reason?" Daniel's next message made her blood run cold. "Daniel, I give a homeless guy some leftover food, didn't even charge him. Henry called me into his office the next day and said I wasn't a good fit anymore. No warning, no second chance." Sophie gritted her teeth. She could almost hear Henry's voice saying the same words to her. Another message popped up. "Daniel, it wasn't just me, there were others. A dishwasher named Maria. A hostess named Andre. Helped the wrong kind of customer and boom, gone." Sophie sat up straight. This was bigger than her. Her anger burned hotter now. Henry had been doing this for years. And suddenly she realized if Henry had done this before, there had to be proof. That proof came sooner than expected. That afternoon, another message arrived. This time from Rachel Denton, a current waitress at Silver Creek. "Rachel, I still work there, but not for long. I need you to hear something." Sophie's pulse quickened as a voice recording file popped up on her screen. She hesitated only for a second before hitting play. At first, the audio was scratchy, like it had been recorded in a hurry. But then, the voices became clear. "Henry, Sophie made us look bad." A second voice, one of the assistant managers, sounded uncertain. "Manager because she helped a black customer." There was a long pause, then Henry scoffed. "Henry, call it what you want, but she had to go." Sophie's breath caught. This was it. The proof. Her hands shook as she immediately forwarded the recording to Malik. "Sophie, we need to take this public." Malik's reply came within seconds. "Malik, it's already happening." By the time Sophie refreshed her feed, it was everywhere. Major news outlets picked it up. Silver Creek Diner was officially exposed. People who had once questioned the situation now had undeniable proof. Caught on tape, the manager of Silver Creek Diner admits to firing Sophie for helping a black customer. This is discrimination, plain and simple. Justice for Sophie. How many more people were fired like this? Silver Creek Diner needs to be shut down. Sophie stared at her phone as news vans started appearing outside the diner. Henry had been so sure this would blow over. He was wrong, and the real consequences were just beginning. The fallout was swift and merciless. By the end of the week, Silver Creek Diner was barely functioning. The viral story had turned into a national controversy, and the diner's reputation crumbled overnight. Customers who had once been loyal canceled reservations, while others walked in just to tell Henry Calloway exactly what they thought of him before storming out. "You fired a woman for being kind. Shame on you. I've been eating here for years, but never again." The diner's Google and Yelp ratings plummeted, with thousands of one-star reviews flooding in. Even regulars refused to come back. Within a week, revenue had dropped so sharply that the investors behind Silver Creek pulled out, citing irreparable damage to the brand. Without financial backing, the diner had no way to survive. Henry tried to ride out the storm, arrogantly telling employees that internet outrage never lasts. But he was dead wrong. With mounting pressure from both the public and angry stakeholders, the owners of Silver Creek had no choice but to fire Henry Calloway. When news broke of his termination, the backlash didn't stop. No restaurant in Austin wanted to be associated with him. His name became a stain in the industry, blacklisting him from managerial roles indefinitely. By the end of the month, the Silver Creek Diner permanently closed its doors. Sophie had watched everything unfold, feeling a mix of vindication and disbelief. She had never planned for this to happen. All she had done was offer kindness to someone who needed it. Yet somehow that single moment had exposed something far bigger. One afternoon, she received a text from Malik Carter. "Malik, got a favor to ask. Meet me at Westside Cafe at noon." Curious, she agreed. When she arrived, Malik was already there, sitting across from a middle-aged woman with a warm but commanding presence. "Sophie," Malik greeted her with a smile. "Meet Evelyn Grant, owner of Westside Cafe." Sophie's eyes widened. Westside Cafe was one of the most respected restaurants in Austin, known for its excellent service and strong employee culture. Evelyn smiled. "I saw what happened to you, Sophie, and I saw how you handled it. I don't want people like Henry running restaurants. I want people like you." Sophie's heart pounded. "Are you offering me a job?" Evelyn nodded. "Full-time, better pay, a team that values kindness, not punishes it." Sophie barely had to think about it. She reached across the table and shook Evelyn's hand. "I'd love to." For the first time in a long time, she felt truly valued. She had lost everything, but in return, she had gained something even better. Sometimes, standing up for what's right costs you everything, but it can also open doors you never expected. Sophie Landon never thought that offering a cup of coffee and a kind word would lead to her losing her job. She never imagined that one simple act of decency would uncover years of injustice hidden beneath the surface of Silver Creek Diner. But what happened to her wasn't just about one waitress being fired. It was about a much larger issue. It was about prejudice, abuse of power, and the unspoken rules that allow discrimination to thrive in silence. For years, people like Daniel, Maria, and Andre had suffered alone, pushed out for choosing kindness over compliance. But this time, someone spoke up. And because Sophie refused to stay quiet, because Malik used his voice, because Rachel and Daniel came forward, a toxic system was exposed and torn down. This story isn't just about Sophie. It's about all of us. Every day, people are treated unfairly, dismissed, silenced. But injustice only thrives in silence. If you've ever been mistreated, discriminated against, or told to just let it go, don't. Speak up. Stand your ground. Tell your story because your voice matters. Use it.